And hello, good evening, everybody. Hour late today, but we had to do what we had to do to get the master of shine himself on the podcast. So I'm very, very pumped, very excited for this episode. So glad, all six of you are here and tuning in. Hopefully more will start to trickle in as we get this thing started. But as you know, we got to introduce my Canadian cohort himself. He is Mr. Alex Duas. How's it going, Dewar?
Going very well. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy long Labor Day weekend. Very excited for this one. It's we made it work thanks to all us coming in an hour later than we normally do. So it should be a fun show.
Indeed. Yes, we tried to get Anthony on for about 2 weeks now. He is just ducking and diving and dodging the cleaner cast. But Master Shine stepped up.
Too busy getting family photos done.
Family portraits.
Yeah.
Yep, I thought we were family, but apparently not.
Hey, as long as you get a signed copy, as long as he'll have our address, he can send us a signed copy of them.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
But as you know, people, we are live on YouTube every Friday at 6 Central. Also available on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Let's get some subscribe rates and reviews going. Written reviews, people, we need to see them. We're
5 stars only
dry these days. Yes, 5 stars only. So, did you enjoy the week? What'd you do this week?
Yeah, it was a pretty good week. It was warm, which is again kind of atypical for September. Usually it's in the mid-20s Celsius for us here, but it's finally in September. Summer's been flying, but looking forward to some fall, getting some crispy weather out there with some hot O&R or other exciting bits. We don't know what's happening in the future, but the industry is going nuts with product. I love it.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, super. I'm so sick of the summer. I'm ready for some fall weather so I can actually enjoy detailing again.
Mm-hmm.
It's just torture right now. But all right, let's get with the man with the plan onto the show. I've probably learned more from this one individual than anybody's YouTube,
Likewise.
Other podcast, anything out there. This guy. I'm glad Dane and the Hennons, brought this man on board and forced him to do a podcast and forced him to be in videos because the knowledge he drops on a regular basis is just tremendous. And that's why I wanted to have him on the podcast. We get him all to ourselves this episode, thanks to Mr. Fisher ducking and diving us. But I'm super excited for this one. So everybody, without further ado, coming at you from the MOS HQ podcast studio. It's just a wonder of technology over there. Freshly downloaded Chrome. He is the master himself, Mr. Levi Gates.
Oh, man. Wow. Thank you, guys. That was a great intro. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be on here. As you can see, I am in the MOS HQ. Literally, like I said, technologically, probably one of the most advanced home studios of all. I've got a MacBook Pro from 2012 sitting here in front of me. I've got a $20 microphone that I got on Amazon, some sound deadening, and I'm in a storage closet that I have to lease it out for the family to use as storage. But primarily, we know what we're doing when we're down here.
The sound deadening is very impressive. I love the cardboard boxes and the storage. I mean, it sounds great in there.
It's quite possibly, I think it's it's quite dead in here. It's almost no reverb or anything like that. Yeah, really great. And of course, I got my old trusty friend. I can't do anything without a little Diet Pepsi to get me started. Augie was very excited. I apologize for putting everybody an hour behind. But I had to pick up that pizza and bring it home for the family, as a dad does. But I brought Augie a special treat home.
Ooh. What'd you bring him?
Well, if you guys saw on Thursday's Q&A, our friends at Pepsi dropped off a brand new drink, the Voodoo Mystery flavor, 0 sugar Mountain Dew. So I brought Augie one, and I said, "You're the first child in the state of Idaho whose lips are going to experience this." And that's like everything he needed to know. He's like, "I'm just going to have this for dinner." And I said, "No, you still have to eat dinner."
Yep.
And he goes, "But I have my own 20-ounce bottle." Said,
wow. What a treat. 0 sugar?
0 sugar, because of course he's diabetic.
He'll be in good shape.
Yeah, well, my wife was not all that excited that I'm bringing him a 20-ounce bottle of Mountain Dew at about 5 o'clock at night, 5:30, to have him drink that before, because he only got a couple hours before he's got to go to bed. So we'll see how he does. But it's Friday, right? That's what we're doing.
That's right. Long weekend should be a good time.
Night. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to work on Monday. Should be good.
Yeah.
So, but thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on. This is fun. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I hope Anthony has some fun with his family pictures.
It's hope he gets some good snapshots. Yep. Put above his fireplace.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
I hope all members of his family cooperate, and if I get a signed copy of family, I'll be sure to put it up in my office.
Yeah.
Who's that? Oh, that's just a long story.
Friend of mine and his wife and children and dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wife and child and dogs.
Yeah. So, Mr. Gates, let's open up with we know the story, but there's a lot of people here that probably are interested in how the Master of Shine made his way to TRC and kind of what all you do for the rag company. So let's start off with that, and then we'll high gear a little later. And I always say abridged version, but I said abridged to Dane, and he went 25 minutes on the whole story, and then even wrote in the comments after we were done that he wasn't finished yet. But
that's
so you go as long as you think it should go.
Yeah, that's Dane. That's what he does. So the joke we have around the building is that when I came on, Dane would have me start answering questions for folks, and he kind of was a little surprised because all my answers were no, yes, you can't do that. Yes, you could do that. That would be okay. And that was it. Where him and his father are notorious for writing very long graphic novels designed to answer every question that you could possibly imagine. However, it then piques the interest of the person receiving that, and then they have another 100 questions that need answered. So I always tried to answer one question with one answer, and that's it, and just leave it at that. And it's always going to be a yes, no, or maybe every question. So, but that was something that I did, and I started with the rag company because I was a detailer. I had a detail shop. I was looking for towels, and it got to a point where I was tired of scratching cars. And I Google searched microfiber, better than Costco, just microfiber that I could buy. And that's kind of where it came from. That's kind of where my whole, way it worked out was I found the rag company. I found Microfiber Tech, which was in San Diego, which is auto fiber. Microfiber Madness hadn't even come to the U.S. yet. It was still just a German company that you could order from their website. I don't even think Corey was carrying it at that time. And then the rag company popped up, and it was a house for the photo, and it was a home address. And I was like, what? And I went to the website, and the website had the address of the house. And I did a Google search, and I was like, huh. So I emailed them and said, hey, can I come over, stick my hands in some towels? And I spent 3 hours and about $300 that day and came back with towels. And that was it. Matt and I were changed. The next day we went back for lunch and bought more towels and spent the day just talking to Jeff. And that's how we started. And then I started doing some slight, easy customer service. Basically, they would get a call and someone would be a detailer. They're like, hey, I'm using this wax. What's the best towel? And they're like, we don't know. And so they go, hold on a second. Let us call Levi. While they were on the phone with the customer, they would put another line on their cell phone or whatever and call me, put me on speaker, and literally take their phones and just turn them and have me talk to the customers. After a couple weeks of this, they just said, hey, can we send you emails? Like, we'll build you a rag company email address and we'll just fill it all day. And then in the evenings, you just start answering. And I said, yeah, I could do that for you. That's not a problem. And it was like that for about 6 months or so. I just did customer service for the rag company for free. In the evenings and weekends, just answering some emails. And I enjoyed it because I thought it was kind of fun. It was kind of something different than my normal shop. I was running a shop with 7 employees, and I was kind of enjoying. I was enjoying just kind of doing this thing for them. The day finally came when I realized that I needed to get paid for it. When I calculated my hours one week, and I had spent over like 25 hours doing rag company work while running my shop.
Yeah.
And I said, I should probably talk to him. Plus my wife said, you should probably talk to him or you can't do this anymore. And so did that. We worked out a deal. They paid me, started paying me. I started clocking in and answering the stuff. And then one day Jeff said, I need you to come on a trip with me. I've got a company that I'm reaching out to sell towels. I need you to come with me. And I said, are you paying for it? And he said, yes. And I said, all right then. And we went for the weekend. And the moment we got through security, before we'd even flown to this place, he goes, how do I hire you or somebody like you? And I said, you could hire me. And he goes, I don't think that's possible. And I said, well, let me figure some stuff out. I was in a position where the city that I was working in, my business was the city was in a rate of change. They were trying to push out automotive shops out of the city. They were making restrictions harder and harder on my company to do anything. I wanted to expand the business. I wanted to build on the property. I wanted to do all this stuff. And the city would just not approve anything and let us do anything. So then I started having to look at, I'm going to have to move to another part of the city, right? Because I was in a small town called Garden City inside Boise. And so I was looking, well, maybe I'll just have to go to Boise. And that was where I was at. I had two business partners, one that I got along with, one that I famously didn't get along with. And he was making it a little more difficult. When we got into when we first built the business, we had a rule of 3 where all 3 of us had to agree. That didn't really work. I should have done a majority rules with them because more often than not, me and the one that always agreed together had all these great ideas and we were going to do stuff. But that one always seemed to put the kibosh on everything. And it was getting more and more frustrating to be able to grow the business the way I wanted to with what the city was doing, but then also having my own business partner stopping me. And so when Jeff offered me the job, I was like, man, that'd be nice. Not having to worry about employees every morning missing out or not showing up. You know, I had 7 employees. We were doing 125 to 150 cars a month. The shop was running. The shop was humming along. And I just thought, man, I could really do that. Plus, my body was completely beat. So it was getting harder and harder to do my job every day without having major surgeries. And I've talked about this famously that, you know, I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I had to step away because what it meant was when my guys would not show up or there'd be too much work, I had to jump in and help, but that would actually cause me pain and put me down and out for a couple days. And so me going to a desk made all the difference in the world, basically. I gained a little weight that I wasn't too happy about, but you know, the point is I'm still doing it. I'm still enjoying it. And here we are 7 years later. But in that time period from when Jeff offered me the job, we had started shooting videos. Gabe Garcia, who's our media production manager, was a high school teacher, and he brought his students to my shop at night, and we shot those first few videos of Detox with the Junk Man and Ivan. Classics. We painted my whole shop. We did all that stuff. Those first episodes were with a bunch of high school kids holding cameras and microphones and you know, me buying pizza for everybody after I closed my shop, after I worked the entire day, just exhausted. And we would run till 2 o'clock in the morning filming these videos. But we had been doing that. And so I thought, well, if I go work at the rag company, what am I going to do? And Jeff said, I need you to start, you're going to be kind of our expert, our company expert on everything. And that's kind of how I started. I started doing some business sales for growing our international you know, distributors and getting that out there. Dane and I started doing more videos together as best we could until we brought on Anthony a few months later. And that was it. I was going to talk towels, answer questions, do customer service and that. And I was like, man, I'll do this all day. But that was it. That was how I got into the rag company. That's kind of how it kind of worked. It was very simple and easy.
Yep. So. Heck of a story. Love it every time I hear it. Dewar, got anything?
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's every time I hear that story, I just love hearing it because it's such an organic progression. And you know, I think that's for a lot of the staff there that I think they were just kind of organically brought in. And I mean, Gabe's such a rock star too. I mean, that guy, it's the behind the scenes. Obviously, you don't see him as much on camera at all, but seeing what he can do and just seeing how he manages his people is unbelievable. And, you three, Dan, Anthony, Levi, have good cohesion that it just works so well. And I think that's hard for companies that you can't really have that. You guys just work so perfectly, and it's such a fantastic trio.
It is weird. Dane and I got along. Once we added Anthony, we kind of knew of Anthony. Like in one of the first detox, we borrowed his motorcycle, and he was just a customer that would come into the rag company. And then when we did our grand opening in the new building, he was there because he had just recently been laid off. And he goes, "Hey, if you need any help, like I'll push a broom, I'll pack some towels. I don't have anything to do." Dane and I had a meeting, and we sat down and said, "What do we want to do this year? What do we want to make? How are we going to do this?" Because it was all new. And that was when we built our list, Dane goes, we need somebody else. And he thought of adding Anthony to help him as like an assistant to Dane. And
yes,
we hired Anthony, and he was part-time. He was part-time for a day, and then he was full-time and just took over a ton of stuff that Dane didn't want to do. And Anthony said, I can do that. I can do this. And then, but the three of us, I don't know, it was that first week, we were like, it was like some sort of weird brotherhood that we created, and we never even a million years thought it was going to happen. And then Jeff and Carolyn just let us do whatever we wanted. There's not many companies that literally will go to their son and say, "Hey, you've got these two guys that now work with you. Just have fun. Just go do whatever you want." Not, "Hey, did you guys get this done? Where's this report? Have you talked to this person? Have you done this? Dane, why haven't you finished this?" All that. No, it was just like, cool, have fun. And if they had a question, they would ask. If Jeff needed me for something or Anthony for something, "Hey, come to my office. I want to talk to you about this."
Yep. And I think that's what has fueled the rag company. Since y'all three have come together, it's just been, you can tell the imagination just flows through one of you and goes to the next one. And then y'all make this great content, and it just, that's how it goes.
Yeah. Well, thanks. It's like I said, I'm pretty lucky, and I know I'm lucky to be able to do this every day, because it is just, it's hanging out with my friends doing stupid stuff.
Yeah. Easily, you could have been with a company who, shoots down half y'all's ideas, and half the YouTube videos don't get made, and y'all just go on, the trips and come back with a new product here and there. And you wouldn't be the rag company as we know it today if someone was there, shooting down half y'all's ideas.
Well, we still have a person that shoots down half of our ideas, but he does it within reason and explains why he does it. And so we know that some stuff is a little crazy, but more often than not, we're at probably an 80% success rate on all of our ideas. Some of them aren't,
But we've seen Dane go 100% full, no restrictions on Twitch the last few weeks. And he needs a restrictor for sure.
When we're, Anthony and I come up with some pretty funny stuff, but Dane, if left to his own devices with no budget, it get pretty crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
I could only imagine.
That leads us to the next part of the story, is that you have become kind of the brand testing for brands that TRC wants to bring in over the years. So walk us through the process of finding a brand, testing the brand, and then finally bringing it on to TRC.
So this is kind of fun. This is something that I started from the first time we first had O&R. We had Optimum and O&R. That was the first one. So after that, we were just fine with O&R. Jeff had always famously said, "I'm never going to sell chemicals. I'm never going to do, any of that kind of stuff. I don't want to be the next auto geek. I don't want to be, And we just started, we had Optimum, and we were doing really well with that. And then I think we added Solution Finish was our next one, because I really like Chris West's product, and I kind of felt it filled a good hole, for that. And then after that, we started looking into PNS, and that was a big deal for us, because that was really the first company we started working with and going like, let's start trying stuff. And I remember I asked my first question to Bob, because I played with some products, and I said, can I cherry pick? Can I cherry pick the line? Because I got some that I really like and others that I'm not really 100% on.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, whatever you want to do, go for it. Tell me. If you want to buy one product, if you want to buy 25 products, just whatever you feel like, I'll do whatever you want. And I said, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And that was kind of the start of our process. So Anthony and I got Beadmaker, and we started playing with it. And it was literally 1 year to the day, that from the day we got it to the day it went on sale at the rag company. And we thought that's kind of a good rule of thumb. You know, that 1 year, gives us time to play around. Other products like IK, that was like, nobody else was doing IKs at the time. So when we launched IK, we had the product for maybe 6 months, and I fell in love with it, and so did Anthony, and we just said, let's do this. But there are some product lines where they just never see the light of day. And I don't talk about the product lines that I didn't like, or I don't feel are a fit for the rag company. But the primary planning phase is Anthony and I start looking for a new brand, and we just start hunting, and we just watch. And sometimes that process could take up to a year or two. Sometimes we've got a short list of products that we're interested in. And we just kind of watch. We see how they handle themselves in the industry. We see how they, how their social media is, how they do stuff. And then when we do reach out, the very first question is, hey, it's Levi from the rag company. I was wondering if we could have a discussion about your product line. Yeah. And they write back and say, oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. I'd love to do that. And if they say yes or no, if they say no, okay, that's fine. If they say yes, the next question I tell them is, I'm sending here's a non-disclosure, and you have to give me a year. I'm not going to buy anything. We're going to go deep dive into this stuff. You're going to tell me all your dirty secrets. And if you can't do that, this conversation's over. And you'd be amazed at how many companies will not and are not willing to do that. And they're in it for the quick buck, and they're in it to sell it. And my rule is, if you can go there with me and just say, yeah, I have that trust and faith in what I've done for the rag company and who I am as a detailer, and a detailing personality, we'll make some magic happen. And as my dad says, and we'll get it going. So, that was something that was great with like Jack from Stiarna Gloss. We reached out to him. I reached out to people that knew him. They forwarded me along. I told Jack, and he was like, 100%, absolutely, no questions asked. Here you go. Signed it, sent it back. Wolos did that with us when we first started talking to that. Like, there's a lot of companies that we brought on. Color Lock we'd been with them for over a year and a half before we brought them on. Ragtop, we'd known of Ragtop Rick before he passed. Really, really good guy. He used to make me laugh, and so I really like the guy, and he was super no pressure. Just whatever you guys want, here you go. Sure. So I've had that with a lot of companies. G-Technic, Kosh Chemi, all these brands have been very good at going, not a problem. We know who you are. We know what you can do, and we want you guys to help support us. The biggest things is I look for, no white label products. That's like a number one rule of mine. And the reason for that is I need to be able to contact your chemist, or I need to be able to see where the product is made in-house. Because for us, it's a customer service issue. If I have to call you because your product's bad, and you go, let me get a hold of the blender or the chemist or something like that, and it goes through 3 or 4 hands, it's not good. I'd rather have the chemist, like Dave Phillips, email you back and at least give you the answer to what questions you have. Or I can forward on an email that I sent to him in favor of you. It comes straight from the source, and it comes out a little better. Also, when we do that, I will say, we kind of get a better price as a distributor when you're working with the main source. For sure. And that's a business decision as well in that sense. And so, and then the other thing is as we grew, one thing we noticed that we did really well was Amazon. And so that's a service that we've provided to a number of clients within the industry where we're able to handle their entire Amazon storefront for the marketing and the hosting and the listing and the building of the entire site. We're able to handle that, and it kind of gives us a competitive edge over other companies because we can handle that that volume and that ability to take care of their stuff for them. It allows the brand to not suffer, and that's kind of the biggest thing. Is my job is to make sure that brand, as the brand development manager, is to make that brand and bring that brand up into something special. If you have 50 people selling it on Amazon and they're all fighting to get the best price, that brand's going to suffer. That brand's going to have a harder time in the marketplace when it's getting cheaper and cheaper, and it's going to hurt some of the smaller shops and boutiques that folks are running out of their own businesses and going, hey man, I'm trying to sell this bottle of Dream Maker and it's on Amazon for half the price. I can't sell it to a customer at this price. Like, they're getting it for the same thing I'm getting it for. Like that, it doesn't help. So we always try to bring that elevated. And as we always say in the company, the rising tide floats all boats. So we want to be able to help everybody and bring that out.
Yep. So, being on the TRC boat is a good boat to be on.
It's a pirate ship, but it's still a good boat.
Yeah, I got some good captains. Got Dane and Anthony. You know, they're always sailing the seven seas. So
that's right. Yeah,
perfect boat to jump on. Yeah, going back to PNS. Yeah, if you just wanted to bring on their whole line, I mean, it would be just a massive.
I
think people underestimate how many products PNS has over there. It's a lot.
They do have a lot. They have almost as many products as we have towels.
Yeah, so easily.
It's pretty insane. And so that was something, for us, it was easy. When we first started, it was just, all right, we're going to bring on 4 of these products from the Double Black collection. And that's how we started it. And then we've just kind of added, Brake Buster was never in the Double Black. And Anthony and I told Bob and Dave, hey, you should put it in Double Black. It's a good product. And they were like, oh, okay, we could do that. Sydney did that with Clarity Cream that she found in the bowels of PNS and said, this is a really good product. We should put it for glass and it should go in Double Black. And so
and it was just called like glass polish or something.
It's like W1314GP something or other. It's all it was called, and it was pink. I have the bottle of it here in my garage.
Wow.
But it's just being able to kind of see things and go, this would be better there, and this would do well in this situation. The other fun stuff is just being able to develop. One thing I like with having these relationships with the chemists is we're able to help develop certain products to maybe work a little better based on where they need to be, or we have some ideas that maybe we want to tweak. We're not creating new. We're not the ones creating it, but it's fun giving the feedback and being able to exercise and test some of these ideas that maybe we've had for years. Rags to Riches was 5 years in the making. We've been wanting to do a towel soap, and full disclosure, we'd used a couple other companies to try and make it work and get to the recipe. It just, we couldn't do it. And we needed Dave Phillips to be able to unlock the magic, because realistically we're trying to remove bead maker from towels. Right. So why not talk to the guy who developed bead maker and find out how do we get it back
figure it out. The bead maker guy can figure it out. Yep.
Yeah. So things like that, having that product and being able to help with that. Some of our tools and equipment that we've been able to utilize, especially being able to have Ivan to be able to help us with stuff like the Ultra Black Sponge. That was a collaboration with us that we were able to work on, because it was just, I find myself having a harder time holding things and using different tools as my arthritis increases. So, same with Detail Factory, the curve ball was one that they sent early on and said, what do you think of this? And I said, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this because this is easy for me to hold, and then doing our collab with Auto Fiber to create the Pearl Puck, same kind of thing. It's all been designed to make it more ergonomic and more easier to use for folks.
Yep, that's definitely a plus with the TRC tools too. If any detailers out there didn't know, Levi especially helps design these tools to be, comfort in the hand, less pain in your wrist, shoulder, that kind of deal. And definitely true. I have all the tire brushes, green brushes, fantastic, great stuff. But yeah, I was gonna ask, who discovered Jack? Because and Starny Gloss.
I love that guy. So good.
So good. That was me.
Mm.
I'm the one that I found Stjarnaglas, and I really liked it because I like a lot of the Nordic kind of style stuff.
Yep.
And Anthony had 2 other brands that he was looking at.
Mm.
So I came at him with that brand, and he had 2 other brands. So all 3 were UK brands, and we were a little leery because this was coming off of Wowo's.
Wowo's, yeah.
And
what happened with COVID.
We were like, man, we just don't want to get stuck in this kind of situation again. And so we contacted John Hull of Clean and Shiny because he was carrying all 3 brands. And I said, tell me about these brands. Good, bad, any of that stuff. And he gave us his assessment of each one of them. But the one stellar assessment was Jack, because he said, Jack is my best friend. And he is the greatest guy you'll ever meet. And we said, all right, that sounds pretty good. And so that's when we reached out to him and said, all right. And we had started watching, and that was when Anthony, as soon as we started talking about Stjarnaglas and he heard that, it was Anthony doing his research on Instagram and YouTube and just looking him up and learning. And we pulled everything we could on him to learn. And then, we kind of, me, myself, and John interviewed him and tried to keep Jeff out of it for a while, just to suss it out, make sure everything was good, make sure there weren't any skeletons in the closets before we showed it to the parents. And we laughed because the first meeting with Jack and the parents, as we call them, as Jeff and Carolyn, was, I remember he said something famously. He goes, am I walking into this meeting as Cav the lad or Cav the dad? And I said, I want you as Cav the dad, not Cav the lad, which is who he is as a personality.
Right.
And he goes, well, I'm really nervous. And I said, imagine that you're dating a girl and you're coming to dinner with her parents, and their last boyfriend was kind of a dork and kind of a waste of space, and they didn't like him, and you've got to try and be the better boyfriend. And he started he thought that was the funniest thing. And at the end of the meeting, and I told Jeff that too before the meeting started, that I told him that. And at the end of the meeting, Jeff goes, all right, you can date our daughter. And then we all started laughing because they don't have any daughters. And we were like, we could probably put Dane in a wig, but I don't know.
We don't have a daughter, but we got Dane.
You got Dane.
Yeah.
And
next best thing.
But that was the best, was because they instantaneously fell in love with Jack. And it was really good. And it's, there are a lot of hurdles. We're shipping water over water. That's expensive. And there's a lot of issues you don't foresee. We placed our first order for Stjarnaglas, and we were going to launch it at TRCMA. And at the time, it's taking 6 to 12 weeks for a container shipment to get from one place to another. And so we planned this well in advance. And everything that went wrong could go wrong, but this container order happened. It was amazing. And one of the funniest stories was, we called to set up a container. The guy just kind of didn't care, didn't take any of our stuff seriously. I mean, we're ordering a 40-foot container.
Yeah.
And
big order.
He's like, yeah. A week goes by. We're like, hey, Jack, did you hear about the container? Have you got a date? He's like, no, I'm still waiting. He tries calling. Guy doesn't answer. I call, or John calls, and we're like, man, we're just like, this guy's not answering. Well, Jack gets a hold of the guy. The phone number's disconnected. He calls the company. Turns out that guy had quit.
Nice.
So the guy was literally on his last 3 days when we first called him to get this scheduled, and he was just like, whatever, threw it off and then left. Didn't tell anybody.
No big deal.
We explain our process to the owner of the business, and he's like, I'm really sorry, but I don't have anything, and the soonest I have is like 12 days from now. And we're like, we'll take it, whatever you can do. And he goes, actually, I can put it on a bunch of different containers and piecemeal the order, and I can get it to you. I can get it loaded at least on a boat in like 4 days. And we're like, that's scary.
Yeah.
Really scary when you have $100,000 worth of product and it's just in different boxes. And so we got the product, got it ready. Jack took that famous picture of all the pallets getting ready to go. And the hurricane shows up in the UK. And they they send everybody home early at like 2:00. They tell everyone to batten down the hatches, bring your cars inside, like hide your bins, like don't leave them out. Like it's gonna get crazy, and all lorries are stopped. They're not allowed to drive. So we had a pickup at like 4 p.m. that day, and at 2:00, Jack's calling, going, and this is 6 a.m. Boise. He's like, we had to shut down for the day. The hurricane's coming. And we're like, holy crap, this is crazy. And so there's another day. We're like, oh my gosh. Next morning, Jack calls me and he goes, you're never going to guess what happened. There was a calm in the middle of the storm. They allowed trucks to come. The truck showed up, but it was a soft-sided lorry, open-sided trailer. So not a hard-side trailer, but like just tarps on the sides.
Yeah.
Truck driver shows up. They load all of the all the pallets on the trailer. The truck starts driving. A tree falls on the highway in front of the truck. The truck is now stuck with a tree, and they've got like maybe 2 hours before the storm kicks back up again. So then another gentleman is driving the opposite way. He happens to have an axe on him. He then takes that axe and chops the tree down and is able to move the tree because he's a very large gentleman.
This is some Viking stuff here.
Yeah.
It could be a movie.
Into work. Yeah. So he pulls into work, tells all of his coworkers, I finally got to use my axe. You've just been making fun of me for having that axe on my truck. Yep. And his truck's license plate say, and my axe. And he goes, so screw all you guys. I got to use it. And he pulls out his phone and starts showing pictures. The man is PJ from Dodo Juice. And he's at Stjarnaglas Dodo Juice headquarters. And he's showing Jack, hey, this is the tree that I got to cut down. And Jack goes, that's the rag company order sitting on that truck.
I'm trying to get to
that's
the US.
The whole order that I am so thankful that you had an axe on you and got that done, because we would have been screwed.
Hopefully Jack bought that man a golden axe and presented it to him.
Yeah. I should have brought him one when I went over there, but it was one of those things where you're just like, holy cow, that was amazing. That
such a small world.
Right place, right time, to have that happen.
I mean,
and
that
then
was
we still got it.
Another woes disaster, you know.
Well, you never know, and that's the worry, But we try to make everything work the best way you can.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get to the new stuff. Finding the nano diamond technology.
Ooh,
diamond
real deal stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. How did you come across
we get right into it always.
So
really
diamond so NGNT, as they're called.
NGNT.
Next Generation Nanotechnologies. They've been in business since 2014, and they're an industrial coating manufacturer. They decided to jump into the car market. They basically they were creating industrial coatings for major corporations. And there's Augie in the background.
Hey, Augie.
Hey, Augie.
You want to wave and say hi?
Hey, buddy.
So they get in there and they think, we've been making all these, they make industrial coatings for aerospace and technology and all that kind of stuff. And they've been doing really well, but their chemist continues to create amazing products. The problem is they're looking at it going like, I don't know where we're going to sell this. I don't know who's going to buy that. We've got this product that already does this, and we just sold 500 gallons or 1,000 gallons or whatever to this company. So one of them buys a new car and sees the coating, gets sold a coating basically, and he stops and goes, I got my own coating, I'm going to try it on my car. And then they start talking, because these guys aren't car guys. They're businessmen, and they go, I wonder if that coating that we make would work on a car's paint. And their chemist goes, yeah, it totally would. It'd be fine. It actually worked better than the clear coat and da-da-da-da-da. So they're like, that's interesting. So Avi goes through and starts researching and deep diving the automotive coating market. Starts learning about automotive detailing. He said there was one name that kept coming up more often than not. My name, which I was very humbled to hear when he said that, because I'm just a kid that washed cars in my dad's driveway. And so he goes, I'm going to try and get a hold of Levi. But for some reason, he was having a hard time figuring out or getting an email to me or something, which I thought was kind of strange. But they created 50 kits. They sent 50 kits to 50 different detailers around the world and YouTubers. They showed up at SEMA one year, a couple years back, and they go, Levi, we sent you a box. What do you think? We haven't heard anything from you. And I said, I've never received a box. They then bring me a box the next day and say, this is the box we sent you. This is the last box, box number 50.
Oh, wow.
This has all our coatings in it. And it's just a gray box that says NGNT on it with their branding. You pop the top. It's got some little bottles in it with just letters on them. Like Anthony said the other day, just ABZ. Nothing else. Just this is glass. This is leather. This is interior. This is that.
Sure.
That's all. Just try it. Tell us what you think. So they bring me a box. They go through the whole spiel, right? Tell me everything. And I go, oh, this is unlike anything I've ever heard. I've never heard of this stuff. This is crazy. This is insane. This is new technology. You got to be kidding me. And so Anthony and I bring it back and I start playing with it. Anthony's using it. I'm using it. I put it on my wife's car. I put it on anything and everything I can. We coated about 7 cars at the rag company with it. And I go, they're on to something. So we start talking to them. They're finding that not everybody is, there's Augie again. I can't know which way I'm turning there.
Hey.
So, say hi. So they start asking, we start asking questions. Hey, tell us this, tell us that. We go through my routine. I want to know everything about the company. I want to do everything about the product, chemical, the everything. They basically say, yeah, here's everything you need to know. Tell us this is why, this is how we do this, this is it. And that literally starts. So there was about a year in the making of us getting it here on top of the testing that we had been doing. Then when we said, hey, we're going over for Waxstock, we let them know back in like January, we're going to be going to Waxstock in May. We'd love to be able to add on the trip because we have a few days that we need to do something. And they said, why don't you come to Switzerland and come spend time with us in the lab and do all the stuff. And we'll show you around and we'll show you what we do and all that. We were like, yeah, we'll do it. So that was on our trip was we got to go there and hang out with them. And that's when we went to Yverdon and we spent time in the lab with their chemist. In the video, you see me literally playing with the nano diamonds. They had nano diamonds there.
Lab coats and all.
They were enriched, enriched nano diamonds to the point that Anthony kept doing that. Like I did that one test for the camera, and then Anthony did it like 5 or 6 more times. And finally, Roberto's like, "Okay, Anthony, that's $3,000 a gram.
That's a lot of diamonds there.
That's a lot of diamonds that you've just wasted." And that was kind of their thing. So it was.
That's too funny.
But we got to play with the stuff. We got to learn the process of how they do everything. We got to learn about how they process that. They hold the IP on how to enrich nano diamonds. They're the only people in the world that know how to do that, which basically turns the diamond from hydrophobic or hydrofluoric to hydrophobic.
Yeah. Whatever the fancy word is. Yeah.
Yeah. So they make
Sciencey stuff.
Right. So most nano diamonds, any nano, like it's basically a man-made diamond. But they make them and then they get them, they crush them until they're extremely small. There's millions of them in little tiny couple drops. There's particles. There's millions of them, and they do the enrichment process. They hold the IP on that. Then they patented the fact that they are enriched, and then they hold the recipe on how they mix it with PHPS and the other products that they add, the other ingredients, which are also their IP. But they hold the IP and patent on the recipe on the mixture of these 4 because they say it's extremely difficult. And that's how they've been doing it. And we spent the time there. We asked them every question under the sun and spent as much time as we could. Then we went to Sion and actually did play the training with them and use the products, and we got to play with stuff. I loved that, Stosh didn't use a mask when he was spraying. That was something funny. Where I was like, you need to have a mask. He's like, it's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not, because I just got out of a meeting like yesterday learning about how I need to be wearing a respirator when I'm spraying this stuff.
Yeah. But, as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. So, but the idea then became, how are we going to bring this? Because the company still didn't have technically a name.
Right.
Diamond Protect wasn't a full name yet. It was as soon as we got to Switzerland, they had just announced the name and all that, and how we were going to put it out and all that. And they built the shop and did all the things. So it was fun. It was really cool to be able to help these guys bring something to market that is extremely unique, but also to know that these guys have the science that has been for years. They've have it tested, not only on cars but in stuff that's orbiting the planet right now.
Right.
And that's probably the coolest thing. Plus, for me, like I said, I've been doing coatings for close to 13 years now, 14 years, and installing coatings. And for me, this was the first time there's anything completely molecularly different. I've never been a big fan of SiO2 coatings. That's just me.
Right.
That's why I always kind of leaned more towards the Optimum stuff, because it was an SiC coating, silicon carbide. I've always liked the durability of the carbon-based coatings over the silicon dioxide coatings.
Okay.
So when I heard that what they were doing with nanodiamonds, and they were like, it's carbon in essence with this PHPS, which is an extremely hard material, that's when I go, you guys have something here, because silicon carbide and carbon-based coatings wear completely differently than a silicon dioxide coating. And so that's where I got intrigued. And then when I applied it, I was like, well, this is piece of cake. I can do this in my sleep. Done.
Right. So for everybody out there thinking that this is just diamond dust or, sprinkled, just kind of like graphene was sprinkled into a ceramic coating, this isn't that. This is a completely, new coating from the ground up. That's not even ceramic. This is
what do they call it? It's a composite
coating.
Yeah. And it has beads in every bottle. There are beads in there. The beads are key to, and the reason we say 15 seconds is that's key, because those 4 elements basically in there start to separate. And so to make sure that they're properly mixed is to shake that up for 15 seconds, because you need that shear, that mixture to truly work and get ready to go. And then you put it on, and it literally creates a spider web over the surface of the vehicle. And I'm running almost a year now on my wife's Camry with the Pro 120 on it, and it's crazy. It's crazy. That's the 10-year coating. It was a 3-part system, but that stuff's nuts. It's pretty insane. So I'm excited for when that comes out. But then after that, it was the biggest legwork was this building the Pro network. That's coming in the future, but we needed to help. We helped facilitate some of the folks that were going to become part of that network, and that was the process of bringing, Tony Mazzell on, Tone Zors. We really liked him. He's very good on camera. He's a smart kid. He's a very humble kid, very humble detailer, and he's a new face and something that we wanted with the brand. There were lots of other people that we had looked at that are known in the industry. But it's just, for something this new, I needed something that could be somebody new, that's something fresh, something that could work. And then the second person, I kind of, I kind of pushed into it. But he was very accepting, is Matt Ward, who was my right arm. Matt and I've detailed together for almost 15 years, and he's one of the hardest working guys out there, but also one of the most technologically smartest, fastest, quickest detailers on the planet. The guy has touched more cars than I think anybody in the industry in the under 20 years that he's been doing this. And then he's touched more high-end cars. He's also Modesta certified, G-Technic accredited, OptiCoat certified, XPEL certified. He's taken a STEC training. He's taken a Avery Dennison training.
He's used all the coatings.
he's used all the coatings and
all
all the PPFs and the guy knows his stuff. He basically created the pattern for the Ford GT for XPEL.
Wow.
And he's done a lot of stuff. And he's very quiet, very humble, and I try to toot his horn for him, but he's always like, yeah, no, I'm just a detailer. That's what I do. And he just started his own. He left his business, Lupo Auto Spa, sold his shares to his partner, and opened up his own space out of his garage just because he wanted to chill out and relax. And we have a combined book that me and him have of 25 years of customers that we just kind of pull from and use. And he was like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And I said, go for it, dude. Like, enjoy it. Have fun with it. So
there you go. I'm sure the chat has all kind of nano diamond questions we'll get into in a minute.
Let's do.
But let's end this segment with what's next for MOS and TRC. What is the
Well, so we've got a new product launch on September 8th that I think you guys are really going to enjoy.
Already coming.
That is going to be a lot of fun. We shot a video for it that I think you guys are really going to like. One of the things that we're doing that's different for the Rag Company is a little more scripted content. And not like scripted in that I'm reading a teleprompter.
Yeah.
Scripted in like what we did for TRCMA, where we created a story and then we act it out. Where we go on the hunt for Jack's one-eyed Jack's treasure, Stjarnaglas. We're basically doing these little small scripted, pre-produced kind of films, small little films that we're doing that we're going to be trying to bring out for some of these things, which is kind of why we went to Switzerland, and we kind of made it kind of a fun little video. Just kind of tried to make it something different for them. And then with this new product release on the 8th that is going to drop, so you better make sure that you are subscribed to the Rag Company or the Rag Company YouTube channel. You got to be subscribed to the Rag Company podcast channel, and you need to be subscribed to the newsletter, because if you're not, that's where that video is first going to get displayed, is in the newsletter and the email blast that goes out. But that's kind of our biggest thing, is we brought on an actual Anthony Blaine, who is an actual filmmaker, and that's what he does. And so we're using his skill set and his talent in script writing and pre-production to utilize him to direct, all this stuff. And we've got a good group of editors and videographers, and it's kind of just fun. So we've got the muscles to be able to do the more insane stuff that we never thought we'd be able to do. And famously, Anthony and I are always off the cuff. We never like having a script to follow, but Anthony Blaine, in his script writing, just spending time with us, he knows the three of us pretty well. And so he writes the scripts now that sound almost identical to who we are, which is really spooky. It's really spooky. But yeah, that is the biggest thing. And then for me, I'm headed to Auto Mechanica next week, to Germany and Italy. So we go to Germany for Auto Mechanica, and then I go to Italy with the Diamond Protect team to go do some stuff with them that Dane and I are super excited about. We're bummed Anthony can't join us, but it'll be a good time. And then got that, and then SEMA. I mean, it's just that's coming up. We're gonna have some fun with that. But for the Rag Company, we've got a couple more projects that we're working on. Obviously, we're already doing stuff for TRCMA next year, TRCMA in March again next year, and but for here at home, I just need to organize. The MOS HQ needs to be organized a little bit. I cleaned up a little bit last week. I got a car coming in tomorrow that is a customer who famously is a 3-time canceller, 4th time's the charm. So this is the 4th time. So hopefully, I texted her earlier and said, "You're making sure you're coming tomorrow?" She's like, "Yeah, I'll be there." Yeah. So, and I told my wife, "Yeah, I'm doing this so and so," and she's like, "Oh, we'll see if they show up." So,
yeah. If you're not subscribed to all the Rag Company stuff, you gotta go subscribe. I mean, the videos, and you said it's gonna get better, but I mean, Cheap Car Challenge was just freaking awesome.
Thank you.
The truck was a TV show. Yep, still there. Go watch it.
Love the truck.
The hunt for Jack's treasure was just spectacular. Very entertaining. Go check that out. Deary, got anything before we jump in this Q&A?
No, it's again, like I said earlier, I just love hearing the story, and I think it's great you were able to join the Rag Company the way that you did. Just make it easier on your body. I mean, I'm only doing this as a hobby, and it's even the odd time when I do it, it hurts, and I couldn't imagine doing it day in, day out. So it was
for
great.
25 years.
Exactly. And it's great that you had that transition. And, TRC is just so fun, and I don't think I'm alone in saying that we appreciate not just bringing on every brand and just being one of those big retailers. You bring on what works, and, you guys have a certain level of trust that what you use works, and you're not BSing anybody. It's good stuff, and you have experience, and you test it, and you make it work. And just being able to call Dave or call Jack and get his guy, and it's so cool that you're able to do that. And it's something that I appreciate. And having the being lucky enough to visit you guys not only during TRCMA, but just meeting everybody, and they're all as humble as you can imagine. And it's such a fantastic business that I can't wait to see where it goes.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, the real key is we don't sell anything we're not going to use. That's our biggest number one thing. If I'm not going to use it, or Anthony's not going to use it, it's not worth us selling it. So, and that always happens. People go, "Hey, why aren't you selling this? Everybody else sells it. I don't use it. I don't." And I'm not going to say why I don't use it. I might be in discussions with that company. You never know. Or I just have a problem with the ergonomics, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. But I'm not ever going to say who those companies are or why I don't use them. But I will just say those that we carry are what we use.
Yep. The ergonomics and the using the right chemicals is something that you've preached on, something I've fully absorbed, in the cleaner studio. So much appreciated. I think that's where detailers forget that, maybe using acid on a daily basis maybe isn't a good idea until 15 years later. And then they're like, I got this cough.
Man, these are crunching.
Yeah. Mike Sato Detailing asked, does air mess with these composite coatings with shorter shelf life once opened?
Air does mess with it. So what we do is make sure you tighten the cap down, and then Avi recommends putting a little bit of electrical tape around the seal just to help prevent any extra air loss or air ingress into the system. But they have some pretty tight caps, so tightening them up pretty good keeps the air out of them.
Yep.
Very cool.
All right. Do you see any questions?
Not a whole lot. There was just a bit of back and forth. A lot of people wanted to foam Levi. So,
yes, there's been a whole foam Levi hashtag going on this whole episode.
So I don't know how much influence we can. I don't know how much influence we can have in that, but you timed that perfectly when they got foamed.
Yeah.
So
perfect. Somehow it really goes that way.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I'm excited to throw the new coating on my girlfriend's vehicle for winter. That's gonna be exciting. It's a perfect candidate because I'd been, kind of waiting. I'm just like, don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna, because it was a lease that we thought we were gonna be up in April, and then she ended up buying it out. So I'm like, okay, now I can actually care for it a bit more. And I think this is the perfect coating for it. And we get some nasty weather up here, so I'm excited to test that out.
I am too. I'm excited for everybody to use it. And hopefully, I was talking to Shad Stoker from Budco, and he was asking questions. I said, have you bought some? And he goes, yeah, I got it coming today. And I'll just let my chair down. He goes, I got some coming today. I said, put it on your truck. Literally just put it on, because I need you guys, I'm not crazy. This stuff's insane. So I need people to put it on and go and watch it, and watch the way it works, and watch the way the product is and how it does stuff and all that stuff, because that is key in what it can and can't do. So
I see the Pro Line's not here yet, but the accreditation program is coming soon. What's a little more info on that if people want to be interested?
Yeah, that is probably 30. We're saying 30 to 90 days, honestly. It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work to put it together. I've been able to see what the team is doing, but I built an outline, Anthony and I did, of what we would like to see. And then we gave it to Diamond ProTech. And Diamond ProTech, their team and their team in Europe, and Tony and Matt and Michael here in the US, they've been building and they've been working on it. and Matt was over at the rag company the other day, and he was kind of giving me some ideas of what he's done, and we're just letting them build it. It's their company, and I'm letting Tony and Matt, they're employed. That's their job. So I'm not going to step on them and tell them, hey, you should do this. I just said, here's what I would like to see. This is what I think after 25 years of detailing and being certified, and what I see for customers and what I think they would like. And they've kind of taken and run with it. I'm really, really impressed with what they've been able to build, as I've been they've been keeping me in the loop, at least, and on the Google Drive, as they've been posting stuff and talking about questions and the conversations, because it is different all over the world. And one thing that we're looking at is a couple things. One, we want to make sure that it's a true pro accreditation, in the sense that only pros are going to get after this, and pros in the sense that you have your own shop, you have your own business. It doesn't have to be a shop; it can be a garage shop, but you do need to have a business license. You are going to have some insurance, because as a company, they're trying to cover their butts on stuff. But those are going to be the main entries, and then after that, it's really going to be on a case-by-case basis. But our goal is that everybody could become an installer of this product line. But we want pros to be able to install this and use this as a business. The consumer line is extremely easy to install, and for those that are home hobbyists that want to be able to use the product, they're going to have great products in the current lineup already. And maybe they know a pro they can call and have him or her install it for them. And that way, they're getting a little something more. The pro line is much more expensive than the consumer line. And so it has to kind of reflect that. And so that's kind of the game plan for that. The other thing, though, is we're looking at it from the fact that there's the potential to be an online style accreditation, because if the worst happens again and we're all locked up again and we can't go anywhere, what are we going to do? How are we going to certify people? How are we going to continue to keep these kind of trainings going if no one can travel and no one can do anything? The second thing is, this is a worldwide brand. The brand is based in Switzerland, and they're looking at it going like, we're very centrally located. We literally have France and Belgium and Netherlands and Italy and all around them. And so they're looking at it going, we need to be able to have it in multiple languages. We need to be able to train in multiple languages. We need to be able to show all this. So going towards an online system kind of helps with that. But we are going to be able to have some in-house stuff. So Anthony and I's goal is to be able to host trainings at the rag company for accreditation, because Matt lives here in Boise. So Matt could host some accreditation events there. Tony's in California. And then on top of that, the boys are going to be able to travel. And we'll see how that goes. Again, like I said, I'm leaving it up to them. They need to build what they want. Anthony and I gave them a rough draft, said, here's stuff we'd like to see. So stay tuned. The easiest way is to go to diamondprotect.com and sign up for the newsletter.
There you
Simple as that.
Newsletters, they're important. Go subscribe.
We'll
hit you with a couple more questions, then we're going to get you out of here. Og's looking for you. So Kimberly asked, does diamonds, the nano diamonds, have further, I guess she's asking, marring resistance?
Yes. Yeah, much more resistance. And the reason is twofold. You've got diamonds, which are one of the hardest materials on Earth.
Right.
You've got millions of them in that bottle. And then you've got PHPS, which is an extremely, extremely hard resin that and it's a siloxane that is in that mixture. And when those two come together, it's extremely durable. It's very hard. However, one of the other ingredients allows it to remain very flexible. So it's able to handle hot and cold cycles very easily, which is a key thing in a lot of these coatings, which is why we really like it for vinyl and PPF as well. And they're making a version that's a little more flexible for PPF.
There you go.
And that's something that they want to be able to make sure that the product can do that. And not a lot of coatings are able to do that. There's not that many flexible coatings on the market, and none that are of this longevity.
Mike asked, and that was going to roll into my last question, is there any tips to application? It is a bit different. One of them hazes, what's the kind of quick tip you can give us?
So they both kind of haze.
Okay.
Diamond body is very short work time. You put it on a panel and you wipe it off. There's almost no time to let it flash. You just wipe it on, wipe it off. Really, realistically, your work time is maybe a minute on Diamond Body. Diamond Body 36. Diamond Body 36 though gives you a longer work time. That depending on the temperature and humidity is anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes. The other day I was doing an install here in the garage and I was at 70 degrees and about 22% humidity. That's the sweet spot. That I got half of a Toyota Sequoia coated. By the time I got it coated and made it back to the front, it'd been about 10 minutes. And what it does is it creates an oil slick on water, that rainbowing effect. Then it separates and it creates these little runways, as I call them. The product just kind of separates and then it hazes. And once that hazing hits, then you can just wipe it off. If you have any high spots, it's cannibalistic. So it actually wipes off itself. You just put a little more on a high spot and wipe it off and you're done. Once it sets up, you wait about an hour and then do a secondary coat. After that secondary coat, you have about 6 hours before it's fully cured. And when I say 6 hours after the coating, it's 6 hours after coating. It's fully cured. About an hour after it's done, they recommend no water and try to just keep it out of water for about 24 hours, just because they're like, it's just, they wanted to standardize the rule of thumb. Don't put a coated car, just let it see water until then. But this is one of the fastest curing coatings on the market with that 6 hour cure time, which is insane. So,
yep. All right. Well, that's going to wrap us up, Mr. Gates. Excellent podcast. I think this is the goat of all cleaner cast. So
as long as I'm better than Dane, that's all that matters.
Well, Dane had to go get a haircut, so we were like storming through every question. You know, he told us his story for 25 minutes. So.
he was chomping at the bit. That was funny. And I don't think we talked about it, but I know normally we end off with plugs, but I'm going to jump in and say it right now. Yeah. Ray Company obviously has Labor Day sale right now. Labor 20% off almost everything, which is nuts. Yeah. I think that's one of your guys' biggest sales.
It is. We only do like 4 or 5 of those a year, and Diamond Protect's on sale. Yep. And we just got our restock in yesterday.
Boom.
So there's a lot of kits you can pick up.
Oh, I need to get back on there then.
Yeah.
Add some
Jamie's got to stop.
I went in there right before I left work to double check, and I was like, holy crap, like shelves were restocked with stuff. I was like,
awesome.
The only thing that we didn't have was the 750 mLs of body prep. That is, I will say real quick, with the Diamond Protect, their body prep is key. It is formulated and it feels very different than any other prep.
It's very nice. I like
on the market. So that's key. It comes in the kits, the smaller 100 mil, which is enough to do a car. And what I've been telling people is that what we found was we sent a bottle of paint coating surface prep to their factory, to their laboratory to have their chemists check it just to make sure it's compatible. So one thing I do is, and one thing I'll say is if you have paint coating surface prep, you can use that. However, what I've been telling folks is soak the car with the paint coating surface prep. That way you're making sure the process is as naked as possible. Then use your little 100 mil of body prep and spray the panels and clean the panel because you're going to get it to last a little longer.
Sure.
You know? It's just that little 100 mil is going to go a little longer. Unless you get the 750 ml bottle, then go ham. Have fun with it, man.
Yep.
And go God mode with that one.
Yeah.
Put it in the IK multi.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
You'll burn it out in about 2 seconds.
Worth it.
Yep.
All right, Levi, you got any last plugs you want to get in?
Well, you can always check out my podcast, Master of Shine at Home. I haven't done any episodes for almost a year. But if you guys want to know more about my story, about my life, about my history, about my family, about how I did my career, it's just me and a Diet Pepsi, and we're just sitting talking, and I'm just telling my story. My goal is to transition into an actual podcast again with recurring episodes every week. It's just I'm so so busy. I just haven't had the time to sit down and actually do this. So kudos to you guys for making the time to do this every week for your customers and listeners, because this is a big deal. And I really appreciate being brought on. So
we appreciate
you. And Dewar, you can follow him at Bucky VW. I'm at Jamie the Cleaner. We're live on YouTube every Friday at 6 Central. We try and bring you the baddest guest in the detailing realm, like Master Shine Levi Gates. And subscribe, rate, and review. Written reviews, go do it on the podcast channel. We need all the help we can get. That's all we got. So we'll leave off with some trivium, and everybody enjoy your day. Stay clean, everybody. See you later.